Welcome to Workout Wednesday, week 15. I'm Rob Saunders, and I'll be doing your challenge this week. This week, I wanted to encapsulate the excitement of the NCAA men's basketball tournament here in the United States. If you live in the United States, March is a extremely special time with a tournament of the top 64 teams in college basketball in a single elimination tournament that determines who's the best this year. And this year was no exception to any other year. Tons of upsets, very, very cool things happening. We had a 15th ranked team make it into the last 8 teams in the league. Just some really, really amazing stuff this year, and wanted to have a challenge that would incorporate some of this. So the challenge is very interesting in the sense that it is one data set and on a matrix visual. How we built this, I did not see good examples of creating a bracket online, and you could probably do it using some custom visuals, but I thought, you know what, it'd be really cool to do this in a simple matrix, and you have to use a lot of the color options within the matrix to make it look this way. So things like background color, things like row and column colors, whether you show even headers or not. There's some conditional color formatting in here as well. Just some good examples of how you use color formatting to manipulate the view to make it look the way that you want it to look. So excited to show you guys this challenge, and thanks for joining us. First thing is first, let's load the data. So I'm going to select import data from Excel. In my other screen, it's allowing me to select my NCAA men's basketball Elite 8 results from the data world connector. You can connect that directly, or you can connect it through Excel. For this example, I'm just doing the Excel. I'm going to actually include both data sources here. We'll go through both. We'll go to transform data. Okay, so first couple things I want to do, let's get rid of these nulls on the university ranks and logos. We will also get rid of these columns. Okay, and now this data source is ready to go. Let's go back up to this Elite 8, just have a quick look. Everything here looks good. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go to Combine. We're going to go to Merge Queries. We're actually going to merge. Let's actually back to Elite 8 and then go to Merge. All right. Okay, we'll do a inner join here on University. And here you can see we've got university ranks and logos. We don't want to repeat universities, so we're going to use rank and logo. I'm going to actually go back to that option and in here get rid of this prefix. There's just not really a reason for it. We'll hit OK. So now you can see we've added in the rank and the logo. The reason I'm appending in here, you could do it through a relationship. However, you'll find in a matrix visualization, if you try to do it that way and you try to use just the general merge, or I guess the relationship within Power BI, when you put, say, the first logo in a conditional formatting situation, or a first rank or a first whatever, it'll actually pull the first for the whole data set. So I'm sure there's a way to make it work. I felt like it was just easier to combine the data set here. It's just a join with 2 items. So we might as well have the single data set here with rank and logo included. Now that our data set is ready, let's close and apply. Okay, once we close and apply, I really don't need to see the logo and rank here. I'm just going to hide it. Makes it easier for us to organize the data here. And there's a few things you're going to notice right away. A lot of the numeric fields it's going to set here as summations. It's fine to keep it that way until it's not. So as we go through, you might see us change this to text in order to make the matrix work. So if you remember looking at what I had shown in the post, the bracket consists of really three, call it three rounds, right? You have the first round between those that are in the Elite Eight. You have the second round, which is the four teams left, and then you have the final two. The last result, so the champion, is not actually part of the matrix visualization. That's a separate visualization. So really what we want to do is be able to look using a matrix visualization and using rows and columns where the text needs to belong in order to recreate that visual. So the first thing to do, let's actually just get the universities set up in this format. So let's click the matrix visual here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and add the rows here for, you can see that we already added a row. So let's go ahead and do this. However, we don't want it to summarize. So if you throw row in rows, you're going to see it shows the rows. If you look at the universities as values, you're going to see that they fit in particular rows. However, you want them to fit in particular columns of those rows, right? And those columns are really the round numbers. And here we have these round numbers. I would not summarize them since the data is structured in a way where this is actually more of a dimension. So we go to round number, and here you can see very quickly if we take out our row and column subtotals, we actually end up with the structure that we want to have. One thing to keep in mind, we do have Kansas here as a empty null row. Because they are in the data, we will use that to determine who the champion is later. However, for this particular instance, we can just exclude it, and now we have the start of the actual bracket. Let's go ahead and start stylizing this bracket. Let's just go ahead and go into none for style presets, make it as plain as we can make it. Let's look at changing the text of the column headers to blank. Let's change the row headers as well to blank. Let's also make sure that the borders for each are turned off. So this was bottom only for the column headers, and for the row headers it should have right only. We'll turn that off as well. All right, now let's make this a little bit bigger just for the sake of visualizing. Okay. Now let's go ahead and try to colorize the university. So within here we have the ability to add a background color conditionally. Here we can just kind of say the lowest value is, let's actually do a rule here. We'll say rule is greater than or equal to 0 and less than, I don't know, 5,000. Whatever it needs to be. We'll give it a nice light color here, and we'll hit OK. All right, so there's a couple different ways to do this. You could essentially select to make the background itself the full background, this color, and then exclude the blanks. So I'm interested to see how everybody does it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Let's go ahead in the grid. Another kind of interesting use of color with the grid is to create kind of a interesting look of separation between the actual boxes there, blocks themselves. All right. Let's go ahead and start stylizing this bracket. So if you remember looking at the blog post, we have a rank, the logo, the university, and then the score. So let's go ahead and add the rank, the logo, university, and then the score. If you did not do so already, you need to change the data category to image URL. If it's set to uncategorized or text or anything else, it's not going to actually show the logo. Then there's actually an option here for image height that you can use to change the image height. Otherwise, if you don't know that option's here, you end up with, by default, a pretty large size icon that doesn't really allow for you to make the visual fit within the view that you want it to fit in. 37 is a fine size. It kind of puts us within the range we want to be in for this canvas size, and it should work okay. The other thing to add is we can just create a new measure or a new column, doesn't really matter. It's just going to be blank. I'm going to call this a space. It's just a blank metric. Essentially, we could call it null. We could do a lot of different things. But if you put it at the beginning, it's going to create some space between these rounds, which, quite frankly, actually looks quite good. Basically, we're going to try to somewhat stylize this now. So we'll make some of these similar sizes. Make the logos a little bit more uniform by these. Again, basically as little room as we need before it starts to resize things. There we go. So that should work just fine. Okay. Great. One thing I might do here just right away is the canvas. I'm probably just going to set it to custom. I'm going to actually make it a little wider just for the specific visual. Just make it 1400. It's going to allow us to put the winner here on the right and put a title on top, and then we can work on the sizing. Okay. All right, the other thing that would maybe help, let's go ahead here, go into options under the grid. Let's go to row padding. Let's give ourselves just a little bit of padding. And let's just make this custom visual. Let's just go, we'll go 1600 by maybe 1500. And 700 should be fine. Okay, so this is a decent canvas size for our visual. You can see as it gets a little bigger, it seems to look a little bit better. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and insert a text box. Here we can literally just say NCAA champion. Let's make this, I don't know, 28 maybe? Maybe smaller. Or maybe even 20. Yeah. We'll just visualize that over here. Let's make it centered. Let's go ahead and add an image using the matrix. We'll just go ahead and add the logos. Let's take the round. And here you can see one of the rounds says champion. We'll use that. Let's get rid of the column header. Let's make that white. Let's get rid of the border. Let's maximize as much as we can the image height. Kind of nice and big if we can, but clear. Sometimes you have to click around until it looks clear. I don't know why that is. Let's see what this looks. I don't like that. we'll stick with that. Go ahead and put that here. Might as well bold this. 24. We could name we could name the champion here and show that it's Kansas. However, for this example, not super necessary. We can bring this forward. We'll say bring to front so that we don't cover NCAA champion. And here you can see we've got kind of a semblance of a bracket. You can add a title on your own and whatever borders you want to add, or not borders, but footer as well. All right, last thing we need to do is color code the scores based off the team that won and the team that lost. To do that, we're actually going to go into the matrix visual, go to cell elements, go to series score. Let's turn on our font color. Here, let's go to a rules-based format based off of the winner, as I mentioned. If it's equal to 1 as a value, sorry, let me pull that over. So we're going to go to rules-based. We're going to base off the winner, as I mentioned. And we're going to do, if it's equal to 1, we're going to select a green color. Let's select a brighter, not too bright green. And then we'll add a rule. If it is equal to 0 as a number, then we will set it as, let's say, this red color. Now you can see we have color coded our scores. So that is it for this challenge this week. Wanted something a little bit simpler, but that used a lot of different color options, really to visualize the dashboard, but also really wanted to lean into the March Madness of this year. So congrats to Kansas. I would have, as a Marquette fan, liked to see North Carolina win so that we had the excuse that we lost to the team that won the title, but truth be told, we lost by 30 anyway, so it is what it is. Thank you guys very much for participating in this week's challenge. Looking forward to seeing what you guys do with this challenge and in future challenges. And thank you again. Have a great week.